Welcome to Lead Today with me, Kalina. Let's talk leadership. All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we head to the land of Thailand, and maybe we'll do a little bit on Indonesia and Fiji. They're all distinct, of course, but I would like to compare them a little bit because they are in a similar-ish region. And I do find people in North America thinking about Thailand versus Indonesia in similar terms. And so I'd love to just shed some light on my opinion and experience there. So Thailand. I have really fond memories. I planned a women's retreat there in 2018. I had always wanted to go, heard really great things. People spoke highly of it, affordable, etc. So, okay. I actually went to Bali before that. So Bali, I told you a little bit about that in the episode on Switzerland. I was in Bali when I met the girl who invited me to her wedding, and then I met my now husband there. So that was Bali, and Bali has just also a piece of my heart. I had this little scooter, like motorized, like a moped scooter thing. It wasn't like a full-on motorcycle, but I went everywhere. I went to like pretty much all the way to the volcano that's on the island, just up and down. I drove everywhere. Seminyak, Ubud. I feel like I went everywhere in that thing, which was so great because, well, why not? So what you'll get in Bali, or what I noticed from Bali, well, I would say, first of all, it's one of the islands that make up Indonesia. So people sometimes kind of get that confused. It's one of the smaller islands. You've got Java, which has Jakarta, and there's East Java, Central Java, West Java, which is where Jakarta is. And so Bali's an island just east, stone's throw away from that, and you would probably fly into Denpasar, and it's much smaller. So I'm not entirely sure why it got kind of its spot on the map, because there are other islands also of Indonesia kind of even further away. Like it's a whole connection of a collection of islands. And well, anyhow, so you'll see, and there's Lombok, and a lot of people, that's another island just east of Bali, and a lot of people will go there as well. Bali is definitely known for surf, of course, tourism. You've got a lot of Aussies there, so you'll get like decent, let's say, westernized or Americanized kind of food. Like you can find brunch and that sort of thing. But then you've also got just brilliant street food, Indonesian food, different types of Asian cuisines as well. It's really, really a beautiful spot for food, and just reasonable. I felt safe there always, as a female traveler alone. One thing that was interesting is while on my moped, I stopped off at this beautiful view, and it was some tourist site. And these kids walked up to me, and I had really blonde hair at the time. And they're like, "Can we touch your hair? We love your hair." And I thought, oh, wow, that moment stands out in my mind. I was by myself, and I stopped at this place, took off my helmet from riding the moped, and then my hair obviously was there. They could see it. And that was the first time I had ever really been appreciated for my hair in that way. It was shocking in some sense, but so nice to receive some kind attention. So that's one memory from there. Again, multiple brunches and great meals. Oh, the food is just something else. If you like rice, noodle dishes, you will be able to eat your heart's content, of course. So from Denpasar, you might go, oh yeah, I had my phone stolen, which was not ideal. I want to take some responsibility. I was holding it in my hand on a walk home. We had all been out at the bar, and I was walking. Was I walking by myself? No, I think one friend was with me. Yeah, and then we were trying to, like, I had the phone out looking where we were on the map, and a motorcycle slowed down with two guys on it, local guys, and I thought, oh, I'll ask them for directions, great, and they just like grabbed grabbed the phone right out of my hands and sped away. So there's that. be thoughtful, although maybe don't walk with your phone out in the nighttime. We weren't far from the busy district though, which is kind of interesting. Like it wasn't totally deserted, but I mean, sort of, like it was one of the side streets. But other than that, I never felt really like that I was really in danger or anything. Even when they took the phone, there was no personal harm done to me. It was just like they wanted the phone, they snatched it and went off. But on a higher note, there is as I said, Seminyak. I stayed there. There's also Canggu, which is another spot a lot of people will go and stay. I mean, you've got beaches, just it's an island, so you've got beaches around the whole thing, so you can't really go wrong. But nearby to Seminyak, if you continue up, you've got and Finn's Beach Club was like the beach club to go to. So there you go. At least when I went, which was years ago, maybe it's changed. But then you continue along the street and you can head to Tanalot. And that was just a very scenic spot. There's this temple on a rocky island. And so that's really stunning and worthwhile to see. And they have these, another kind of historical spot. Here I go with history, but it was just beautiful. It's kind of, you do want to see it. Unless you're going there to just lay on the beach, in which case you will find many of those too. But lots of temples, lots of beautiful food. Go and drive along just the main road, kind of that goes along the outside of the island, because you can kind of go up. They have different cliffs and things that you can drive up to, waterfalls. But if you follow along that main road, you'll find a bunch of interesting things. Kind of just stumble along them on your path. Kind of like that was experience also, I think, in Hawaii. We went to Oahu for my 30th birthday. There's an episode on that, I think, somewhere. I recorded an episode about our trip to Oahu. And but similar feeling, right? Like rent a scooter or a car and go, and just like you can drive around and you'll see lots of different nice neighborhoods and you can't really go wrong. There's a street that sort of goes all around the outside of the island by all the beaches. So similar feeling, drive around the outside and you should probably be good, I would say. Yeah. There is a there's rice terrace that I think is pretty interesting if you want to go on a bit of an adventure. That's near Manuaba waterfall as well. It's an interesting just to see the rice terraces because they do grow a lot of rice there, although you'll see them. That's just one of the more famous scenic spots, I guess, although you can probably find a bunch. Ubud is inland, so farther away from the beach, but certainly worth your while, and you'll see rice farms grown there too. Yoga Barn was one of the spots. There's so many different cafes. That's where I met Liliana, was in Ubud with Emma. And there's Ubud Palace and monkey forests. Yeah, nice to think back on what's there and what I saw. There's the Bali swing or swing heaven. That's something that you can see. There's like, photo op type of thing, but also like a park there. So if you're looking for nature, you're looking for wildlife, absolutely going to find it in Ubud and surrounding areas, waterfalls for sure, cafes and great food, temples, as I said. You're really on track. I think, where was my favorite place? I think Canggu probably. Yeah. I think it's probably my favorite region. You got a lot of and they sort of are all in a row, if you will. Like it's pretty much just from Denpasar, you go like one of the beaches, there's Kuta Beach, then you go further north or Seminyak, and you go a little bit further north, and then it's Canggu. So you're not talking like hours of driving or anything. These are all very close to each other. And if you stay at one, you can absolutely go to the other. It's all very close. But Canggu just had this like surfer, again, lots of Australians, lots of travelers, digital nomad community. I had some great times working at a digital nomad kind of co-working space, and then just really great restaurants. So you've got sun, surf, sea, great food. So it's that kind of trip, if that's what you're looking for. But again, if you want that and then you want to go inland and see more of the history or see more of the temples, go to some of the temples. And then they have this and I might say it wrong, but Gunung Batukaru, which is this landmark, and they have this, I mean, beautiful vista. But then around there, you can also go, and they have like these coffee tasting tours, and they do have the coffee there that the animal eats the coffee bean and then excretes it. So that's an option. But again, I can't emphasize enough, like really, really cool temples, like a Hindu temple, if you want to go and experience that. It truly is an experience, and I would highly recommend it. So there's also Mount Agung, that's the volcano I mentioned in the beginning, where you can drive pretty close. And there are some temples around, kind of a few around there. So you could do like a hike. I know they do some hikes up there. So if you're interested, I know for sure sunrise kind of hikes early in the morning. And that's Bali's highest point. So, but they did, I think recently after I was there, but they did have an eruption. So it is known for some, I think, eruptions. Was it that one? There was certainly one that did. Can't be sure it's that one, but that's the one I went to see, and it was beautiful. But the whole island, I really love island life, and I know a lot of people say, oh, you'll be bored or you'll feel caged in. I mean, the good news is you can get on a plane, and flights in that region are reasonable. So that's a good news, as long as there's freedom to move around. So I never felt that. I've never felt that being on an island. I never felt that caged in feeling. But I can imagine, people that I've spoken with who've lived there their whole lives, it sort of does have that cabin fever sort of vibe. If you can drive 2 hours in one direction, 2 hours in another, and you're really landlocked, versus what we talked about with European travel, right? Where you can just drive hours in a direction and be in France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Croatia. Like you can drive for hours and be in multiple different cultures, and it's a different feeling for sure. It's not as vast. So, pick your poison. Every place has its pros and cons. If you go to Lombok, they've got a national park there. Again, major road that runs kind of on the outside of the whole island, right by the coastline. So you can go to Lombok, and again, more surf, a little bit less touristy, still touristy, but a little bit less. So you'll be in for a treat if you go there. But hey, this was supposed to be about Thailand, and here I am talking to you about Bali. Well, okay, so there you go. You have a sense of Bali. I think Thailand's a bit different because you can go and first of all, it's mainland, right? So that's one thing. Thailand also has, it borders with Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, or Burma. And it's close to Vietnam. So you're in the Gulf of Thailand, and they do also have some very small islands. I'm thinking Thailand, island. They do have some small islands as well. So if you're looking for a mix of both, that's maybe Thailand. Bangkok is just so busy and built up. It's kind of just what you would imagine out of a movie, with little tuk-tuks kind of driving around, cars. I mean, it's developed. It's certainly a developed metropolitan city with all kinds of traffic. It's not a relaxing, definitely not a relaxing type of vibe, but worth it to go to Khao San Road and do that if that's what you're into. So if you're into city, I'd go to Bangkok for sure. There's a collection of islands. It's further south of Thailand, but you have Koh Tao, Koh Samui, Koh Phanang, and Koh Paloi. Lua? That one I might have wrong. But I went to Koh Tao. So as I was saying, 2018, planned a women's retreat, had 5 lovely women go for 2 weeks. We went deep dive into their businesses. I talk about it in Memorable. Certainly didn't go off without a hitch. Huge learning experience. I mean, here I was running my first women's retreat, and I'm doing it, like the farthest away I possibly could from home, in a place I'd never been to. I used this agency, Be Here, that helped me with some logistics for accommodation, activities, some of the activities we did. So, I thought I had a lot of it planned out. I had my curriculum. I had a couple of other women that were going to run some workshops on their expertise. I had a lady doing more spiritual work that Lynn is amazing. She was joining us from Canada. Where was she? Not Vancouver. I wonder where she was living at the time. Maybe Calgary. But she was joining us in virtually, so that was really fun. And we had some yoga classes. Everybody had their own room. It was really beautiful. So where did we do that? Well, that was before. So Kotal was something that Vanessa and I did afterward, because Vanessa's my travel buddy and she was there. But we did the retreat in Chiang Mai. So Bangkok is at the coast. So the Gulf of Thailand is south of the mainland part of Thailand. Chiang Mai is super far up. There's Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, and both of them are in the north, nearby the border, close to Burma or Myanmar and Laos. So you're in a totally different kind of feeling because you're just landlocked. It's a town kind of in and of itself. Also pretty developed. Also lots of temples, beautiful temples to see, waterfalls, and elephant sanctuaries. You've got to be careful about which one you go to. Everyone always says, right? Like just the way they treat the animals. And so that's something to do your research on. But interestingly enough, Chiang Mai is one of those places where you fly in and you're kind of, I had no idea really where I was. I kind of picked Chiang Mai because of this partner that was helping with logistics and accommodation, and reason being that is even kind of on the map, if you will, in the Western world. One of the reasons is Chiang Mai has really become a spot for digital nomads. And so that was a big draw. And I think we just had such a phenomenal time. Again, not perfect. There's certainly, like, for example, we flew in and I flew in a little bit early because I thought, okay, I think a day or two before we were supposed to start. And my luggage did not follow me. And so there I was, going to be leading this thing, and really had no clothes. So the first day I spent just rushing around trying to find reasonable things to wear. Of course, you're dealing with time change. I got really a bad stomach bug. So did a few others on the trip. So that was kind of tough and unforeseen and sort of delayed progress, especially since I was really counting on myself to be delivering the content, and here I was kind of out of commission. So that was tough. And I would say, if I was giving a retrospective on running a retreat, maybe that's a whole other episode. It's kind of like what you should plan, where you could go wrong. I thought I had checklists and things to pack and activity itinerary, lessons, backup plans. I thought I was set, and yet it felt like a lot of things that I didn't think could go wrong did. And I think we went to an elephant sanctuary. We saw some temples. We had, again, great workshops, yoga most of the days. It was, I think, one of the most memorable trips of my life, and certainly a learning experience. And my hope would be that the attendees walked away feeling the same, despite it being a little bit of a bumpy ride, illness and luggage aside. So yeah, certainly helped me to learn a lot. And I think that all the women there did too, in a variety of ways. I know one woman that came, it was really this kind of, not to take credit for her personal decision whatsoever, but I think it gave her the space and her making the decision to join us there. I think gave her the space for her to then go and get a divorce, really turn her life around. And not that I'm advocating for someone to go get a divorce, but she was in a very difficult situation with her husband at the time, and that was what she determined was best for her. And seeing her months and even a year and beyond later, she really kind of blossomed into this next season of her life. And it was beautiful. You could just see it on her face and in her body, and she lost a bunch of weight. Not that that's an indicator of happiness, but there was something just more vibrant, more healthy about her and happy. And not sure if I can credit that event, but perhaps maybe one of the nudges that allowed her to make that decision for herself. Because ultimately, of course, no retreat or book or event or anything can make you into something. You have to choose the transformation and choose to be open to it. And she absolutely was, and took ownership and agency over her life. And it was just such a beautiful transformation to witness, not only seeing her at that event, but kind of seeing how she evolved months and, as I said, years after. It was just this beautiful kind of unfolding, and really felt like a landmark event where people kind of left and really had some big shifts in how they were doing things. And I certainly did. Because a few months after that, I had my car accident and my whole life changed. So really felt like this kind of milestone event, despite it being a bit of a bumpy ride, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. So yeah, so the retreat was in Chiang Mai, and then Vanessa and I went down to Bangkok and to Koh Tao. Koh Tao is one of the islands. It's farther south. So you're still in the Gulf of Thailand, but you're really like, I'm just looking here. I mean, Thailand kind of stretches down. It sort of shares this little strip with Myanmar, and then continues down until you hit Malaysia. But it's north of Malaysia, so it's kind of in between. Like Thailand runs down, and then so in between kind of Bangkok and where Malaysia starts, you've got Koh Samui and Koh Tao. And so we were on Koh Tao. It was beautiful. You had kind of touristy, of course, and everything quintessential Thailand, like the different shows at bars, different dancers, the full moon party, the quaint little shops, beautiful beaches, nice viewpoints, Mango Bay, Lighthouse Beach, Konangwan Viewpoint, which is an even smaller island off of the big island. Well, big, Koh Tao is small, but even smaller. There's a pier and just some really good, cute little cafes, restaurants, etc. So I would say that's kind of like an island retreat, if that's what you're wanting. And you could also, of course, go to Koh Samui or any of the other little islands in the area if that's what you're looking for. What I did feel is on the island, it was a lot of like young, let's say 18 or early 20s kind of tourists, a lot of young groups of English boys, kind of young adults, I guess, not boys, but a lot of those. So sometimes felt a bit out of place with the vibe, if you will, or the intentions, but we had a good time for what it was, and really a stunning place. So that little group of islands down there is worthwhile as a retreat. And then again, if you're going to go to Bangkok, just be prepared for absolute city, super populated, busy, and go to Khao San Road there, because you can, maybe like I did, eat a scorpion. It tasted just crunchy, almost like, I don't know, brittle. It didn't really have a taste other than like chicken noodle soup, which I think they put like that powder that, those like instant flavor. I feel like they put that instant flavor packets that you don't actually taste it, but it was like a dried scorpion. So it wasn't like, I don't know, you might think that you'd bite into it and it would be like, I don't know, splatter or some kind of like juicy or meat or something. I mean, maybe I'm grossing you out, but I thought, I would bite into it and it would be like, not alive, but like it was hardened. It was somehow hardened. Like, I don't know if they dry it or what it is, but yep, ate scorpion on a stick, had drinks in buckets. That's another big thing. You get, like a literal, like it looks like you're going to the beach, those little, like to make sand castles, plastic buckets with handles, and then they throw a bunch of straws in there and everybody shares them. So that's a fun exercise and adventure. And yeah, it's a hustle and bustle city for sure. So if you're looking for hustle and bustle, towns in the hills like Chiang Mai and a digital nomads, haven. You can do that in Chiang Mai up to, or even in Chiang Rai. There's some community there as well, but Chiang Mai is certainly on the map. Or if you're looking to be in the islands, that's there for you too. So Thailand's got a little bit of everything. I would say both countries were remarkably friendly, very driven around tourism. I saw more of Thailand. So, I mean, proportionately, there's so much more to see of Thailand. And I feel like everywhere I go, I see stuff and then I'm like, oh, there's just so much more. Like you're never really done, which is, I suppose, the point and fun. At the same time, you know, I feel like I got a better lay of the land. Like really with Indonesia, I was just in Bali, so I got a sense of Bali and as an island, wonderful. But with Thailand, I had like the mainland experience up north by the border with Chiang Mai, down by the ocean and metropolitan Bangkok, and then into an island of Koh Tao. And so I feel like I got the gist of city, island, and kind of inland life, and saw how that was. And I don't know, I can't necessarily pick a winner. Not sure that that's what I'm supposed to be doing, but different feeling. I think you've got like Hinduism was very predominant in Bali. Just looking it up because yeah, this is what I thought. So like with Thailand, Buddhism is 93%, Islam 5% or so, and Christianity 1%. Whereas in Bali, Hinduism makes up 90%. So I think that's kind of, you'll notice a difference between, have a lot of Buddhist temples versus Hindu temples, and you can kind of feel the difference of just the architecture, of the style. Of course, Hinduism has many gods, Buddhism, wow, there's actually such a beautiful in Bangkok. Okay, Wat Pho, and it's in Bangkok, 46 meters long. It's called Reclining Buddha. We went there. Wow, just wow. I mean, talk about ornate. It's complete gold. Oh, it was like, or covered in gold leaf covered brick. Oh my goodness. It's huge. It's huge. It was built in 1832. And you just, it's a sight to behold. And then that's just one of them. They have a bunch of different Buddhas. There's one in Phuket. Anyway, there are many more. And if you wanted to go on a Buddha tour, you totally could and go see them all. But they're just like, they're out of this world. They're massive, and they have this almost like a mountain, how it has this like strong presence when you see it. It's just overwhelming in a good way or in an all-encompassing way. And that's what I felt of that big reclining Buddha in Bangkok. So there's a difference for sure. Is you've got Buddhism versus Hinduism, and you'll feel that. There's certainly some Buddhism in Ubud and in Bali, but that's probably one of the biggest foundational differences. Of course, the languages are different, the cultures are slightly different. You've got to go to both, so I won't pick for you. But this episode is supposed to be about Thailand, so hey, but you got a little bit of both. And then if I was to kind of give just a little nod to another area, which is like a totally different feeling in and of itself, actually reminds me somewhat of Hawaii somehow, is if you go east of Australia, you'll hit Fiji, and there are a bunch of islands there. And Emma and I were in the Yasawa Islands. It's a collection of islands. Totally different. I don't even know if this can go in the same realm or region. It's just north of Fiji, which is the big island. We flew into, I think, Nadi in Fiji, and then took a boat. I'll remember we were so we stayed on this one island. Which island? I'm looking. Was it on Yasawa? There's a Yasawa Island proper. We were on a small, I should know it, Tavewa? Maybe. There are a bunch of like little tiny islands, and Emma found this beautiful camping retreat on one of them, and we stayed there. And when I say like no Wi-Fi, no service, nothing, like you are just in the thick of it, and it's so stunning. And so you've got like Turtle Island, which is like the fancy like resort style thing. And so where we stayed, Was it this Levu? I wish I remembered. I don't know which island it was in the Yasawas. I think it was one of these small ones I can't even find the name on the map. But I was teaching this class. I was helping to teach a class. Actually, yeah, I was the assistant then. I was assisting a class for Erickson, the coaching college that I went to. And I'd already graduated and whatever, but I was a teaching assistant because I wanted to become a facilitator. And so to become a facilitator, you have to be an assistant first. And so I was an assistant at the time. So funny now thinking, like looking back. And so, but I had to be on these lessons, and it was like a 12-hour time difference because, more, I think they're based in Vancouver. And so, okay. And now there's no Wi-Fi, and how am I going to, how am I going to assist on this class? And so literally to get from where we were staying to this, to Wi-Fi, I went to Turtle Island and the resort there, and I would use the Wi-Fi from this resort. And I just remember literally a group of men with a fishing boat had to take me to this resort. And then when I finished the class, they would take me back. And so I'm like with my bag and my laptop, trying to not get it wet, as we're like tiny boat, had to walk because the water was so shallow. And by the way, if you want, like, I am in search of the most amazing hammock and beach setup. Like, I think that's just my lifelong. I love hammocks. I love beach hammock setups and being by the ocean and waves. Like, there's just something to it for me. I actually read a study that said that stress is lowered within 20 minutes of being around water. Doesn't say ocean, but just water, running water. There's something to it for sure. So it's not just me. And I will say, oh yeah, so I was helping to teach these classes, and man, and actually, I'm not sure if it was with Joanne or Pat. But one of my great mentors, coach mentors, Pat, who's now passed away. But I remember her telling me just how she saw such great things for me, and she believed in everyone. She was just such a brilliant. There's a section about Pat and her influence on me in my book, but yeah, Pat's patience and belief in people was phenomenal. And I'm not sure if that I was teaching a class with her or assisting and aiding and teaching while I was in Fiji or not, but just reminded me of her and what a beautiful presence. And that's such a great reminder to just say, you can absolutely, and it's such a cheesy, I don't know if I can even say it. Like, you do make a difference with what you say to people, because she believed in me, and who knows if she would remember it to this day. I remember we actually recorded the conversation because it was a coaching session that she coached me, and it was recorded. And I remember listening back one day and just being moved to tears of her reflection to me of what she noticed and the themes. And then just at the end, after we had coached, but just expressing her belief in me. And it was at a time when I was so new to coaching. This precedes this Fiji trip. This was like a few years even before that, this conversation. But just the way that she spoke of me and to me, the way she held me in such high regard, is something that I keep so close to me now and try to really do for my clients. Now, what I do find is if I see someone and they come in for a one-off session and they're trying to just do a strategy, or we're not really, then I still hold people's highest potential in my mind. I'm always looking to hold people's highest potential in my mind. Why? Because if I hold the space for them with their best and highest potential interests in the space, if I hold that, then my hope is they can see that for themselves. And a lot of times people just truly need someone else to see the potential in them and to believe in them and to mirror that back so that they can then go ahead and actualize it. And that might sound, well, you can actualize potential without having someone believe in you. Sure, of course you can. Of course, there's so many cases and stories of people that have just, overcome all odds and gone out and done amazing things in the world. I'm just saying, if you have the choice and there's someone in your life that you mentor or looks up to you or you interact with daily or you manage or you even a friend, and they come to you with an idea, I think it's so easy to bring in the inner critic and shoot them down. And maybe, if they're open to that and want someone to poke holes in what you're doing, great. But I think if someone comes to you in dreamer mode, and this is a hard lesson for me that I have to remind myself of constantly, is okay, if someone comes to you in dreamer mode with something they're excited about, and certainly in coaching, people come with all kinds of ideas, right? Because they'd like to actualize them, whether it's starting their business or improving their marriage or improving their health or whatever they come in with. Because interestingly, even if you are a business coach, funnily enough, I would say I do a lot more relationship coaching than pure career, because really it all boils down to relationships. And a mentor of mine, Jesse, he aptly says, connection matters more than anything. And yes, it does. So, all to say, you have power and influence, especially if someone's coming to you with their ideas. And not that you have to coach them or become a coach or try to be, I don't know, put on airs of any sort. But if you can hold space for someone's greatest potential, you're giving them one of the biggest gifts you could ever give them. And Pat certainly gave that to me. Joanne certainly gave that to me as well. And, I think I was either teaching with Pat or Joanne, and they're just like some of the greats at Erickson, for sure. So anyhow, get on this boat, this fishing boat. The water is literally, it's so shallow, you have to walk through it. So I'm helping carry this boat with this, my laptop in my bag and walking through the water. And then we get in, and I'm just hoping to God that my laptop doesn't get wet or ruined, because then there's no way I'm joining this call in class. And so that was my commute for about a week or so when we were camping in this village. And another notable image that stands out, well, one is Emma's an amazing hiker. And so we hiked to the top of this hill, and I thought I was just going to die. I have to tell you, like, I was keeling over, and Emma was just walking. There was like waist high, if not higher, this grass, like green, but also kind of yellow, and almost looked like, it wasn't corn, but it was like these big tall grass. And we had to walk up, and it was so steep at times that I almost felt like I was climbing up it. It was like very, very steep at moments. And she just zipped up this hill. But once we got to the top, that was a really great moment. So that's always nice when you walk up to the top of any hill or peak and then get to see the beautiful view. And you could see, the ocean, because we were so high up. It wasn't that high. It's not like the Alps or anything, but man, was it high enough for me. And I would say maybe, what did it take us? An hour, 2 hours, something like that. But the view was just absolutely stunning. But another thing that really stands out was this baby. And the family that ran the camp, we also did I almost forgot, we did this kava ceremony. I did an episode on, I think I recorded an episode on that if you want to hear more details about that. But essentially you sit in a circle, and it's really a ceremony. And you pass this bowl around in what looks like really dirt water, but essentially your lips will go a bit numb, your tongue maybe, and it's kind of, I don't know that it's really like a high. I wouldn't necessarily say that. But essentially you're in this big bowl in the middle, and each island has a tradition. But bula means life. And so you're meant to clap once, some don't, but then say that bula and drink. And so ideally you're gulping the whole bowl in one fell swoop, but it really has its own sort of taste. It looks like clay water, sort of. But yeah, it's usually for visitors to villages, and we were certainly in a village, and it was just such a stunning, the bowl is called a bilo. And there were some special songs, and modest dress. It's really a tradition, and it's semi-religious, so that was it. So apparently, I'm just looking here so I can give you apparently it's a central nervous system depressant. So there's no alcohol, but it can give you similar feelings like drunkenness, difficulty with balance, slurred speech. And so there's that. But I would say it's sort of like a euphoric high, and apparently it's banned in Europe. Interesting. Yep. So can be tough on the liver, just like alcohol. Certainly not advocating. It was a time and a place and a certain ceremony, but um, it's certainly like alcohol in that it is a depressant drug, and so it's slowing down the messages from your brain to your body. And I wouldn't use alcohol and kava together. And it is natural, but it's certainly not water or a cup of tea, which I suppose even a cup of tea has caffeine and has stimulating effects on your nervous system. So use at your own discretion. But what a ceremony, and beautiful music, beautiful songs. But this baby, so not at the ceremony, but another day, and they had this. Oh yeah, and they did this. I remember, it's been so long. So they did this like a barbecue, but they dug a big hole and they buried the meat, and then it was there, and they put leaves on top, and it was there for hours, the whole day. And then we had this barbecue at night. That was such a beautiful kind of send off meal as well, and felt very special. So really, just overall, I felt just so special and honored there, which was such a nice, being received in that way. It was so relaxing. We slept in a tent. You could see all the stars. The stars were absolutely, I would say the Yasawas and Jericoacoara in Brazil were the two most amazing places to view stars I've ever seen in my whole life, no question. And yeah, it's just out of this world. Of course, it's different. So the view you'll get with Jericoacoara, you're closer to the equator. These islands are, of course, south, so you're like online with Australia, so you're getting different constellations. And man, it is just no street lights, or buildings, so you're just seeing pitch black and what it looks like every single star that ever existed. It's just filled. It's like someone painted just dots everywhere, and so magical actually to view. Yeah, yeah, fun to that's a nice memory. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Yeah, so if you want to see the stars, go and do something off the beaten track. If you want more of a resort, you've got Turtle Island or sort of these more fancy resorts, and I'm sure you'd see the stars there too. But what a once in a lifetime kind of experience there in the Yasawas. And anyway, so this baby, it was just he was the most calm baby I've ever seen. The mom would actually lay him on the table, they had a big wooden table kind of the main area. And there's a blanket, and then he would be on this table, and not once did I hear this child cry or shriek or really be upset. He was just so calm, looked you in the eye, smiling, kind of moving around. It was just such a testament to looking at him and seeing his demeanor just felt like the perfect personification of what that entire environment was, which was harmonious. It was humans balanced with nature. It felt very primal, very natural somehow, being in these tents, and they had a few little wooden building structures. It just felt like you were so connected to what it meant to be human. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen it if you go camping, and just the vastness of the universe with the stars, and kind of that feeling that you're just this small little drop in the ocean. And that's certainly how I felt there, but in the most mesmerizing, fulfilling, phenomenal, harmonious way. And they had such a sense of family, community, welcoming, food as connection. That trip was one for the books. So very different from if you want to check out, Thailand or Bali in Indonesia. All three had absolute merit and were magical, life-changing in their own ways. So I think if you haven't been to that part of the world, no matter which place you pick, you are in for an absolute treat. So we'll probably head to the US next. I've got a lot of stories about so many different states. In comparison to land mass, there's no way there's still so much that I need to see there too. But that's probably where we'll head next. And I wish you safe travels if you're on the road to somewhere or whenever you are. And I hope you take good care until the next time we meet. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to this episode today. It really helps the show when you like, review, subscribe, or donate to support the effort to continue producing amazing episodes just like this one. I look forward to seeing you again in another episode very soon, and take good care until then.